Welcome to another Wisdom for Life, and this is the third in our series of discussions on the virtual workplace. And I'm here, as always, with David Hepworth, who is the lead creative in learning for Aviva in the UK. Hi, David.
Hello.
We're now looking at the longer term impact of all these changes and what we think the legacy might be of this virtual working. What's your initial sort of broad reaction to that, David? Do you think, are we all going to be running back to the office?
Well, I think there'll be a bit of that, John. I think, it would be naive for us to all think that, well, everyone's just going to work from home now and this is what it's going to be. I think, there's still a place for, people to come together and to be in the same setting. So I think, especially after 12 weeks of being stuck with the wife or the husband, then you may be rushing to get back to work. You never know. But I think there will be a change. So, I think the biggest change will be that an acceptance that kind of virtual working, it works, and it's doable. And actually, for many people, it will be a better, more effective method of working than working in the office. So actually, I think we will see some organisations start to rethink their virtual learning approach, their virtual working approach. I think bringing it back to learning, though, in particular, one of our challenges, and I'm sure we're not alone on this, is trying to encourage more and more consumption of digital content. We're quite fortunate in Aviva. Our split ratio between face-to-face and digital is about 75-25. So 3/4 of what we do is digital. A very small amount is face-to-face. And so we haven't seen too much disruption in recent times. But I think what we will see going forwards, and I'm optimistic on, is a greater appetite and appreciation for distance-led, self-directed, kind of digitally consumed content. Whereas, even just a couple of weeks ago, I would have encountered learners who would have said, well, if I'm not in a room and I haven't got someone speaking at me for 8 hours, then I'm not learning. And well, that's not even an option now. And I think, we are seeing, those, I guess the external forces that are at play are mandating that people kind of work and think this way, which in turn just leaves a wonderful legacy of actually the barriers that I had, or the mindset that I had to working and thinking this way, have actually been, myth busted just by sheer kind of need. And so I'm very optimistic on that. And I think what it is also going to force us into thinking about doing is when we do converge, in a face-to-face or a physical setting, that we really rinse the value of that. It must have purpose. It must have meaning, And, whether that's to adopt them as catalyst events or moments to create energy and focus, it really doesn't matter. But I think, we can be selective about when we converge and we maximize those moments for optimum value and connection. So yeah, I'm excited to see, I've already seen consumption of our learning content jump significantly by some margin, I must add. Which is brilliant to see. We've got a base core people who, for regulatory reasons, consume a lot of digital content, but there's just so much demand now, which is awesome.
And I guess with necessity being the mother of invention and all that good stuff, does that mean even in an organisation like Aviva, where you've got 75% digital engagement or consumption, are we going to come up with even more innovative ways to learn digitally and learn virtually?
I think so. I think it's forcing us into that space. So, one of the things that we're trying to do now is how do we keep the wheels turning on our programs, but at the same time not put strain or stress on either the business or our people. So there's a balancing act there. So things like virtual learning environments, for example, where, anyone who's not familiar with a VLE or a virtual learning environment, there'll be a million tools that you can use for that. But in a nutshell, it's just a classroom that's done a bit like what you and I are doing now, John. Lots of people dial in, you have a host, and you can do some things on the board and stuff like that. And so, where we're bringing masterclasses together and we converge our experts in the organisation, in traditionally there's been a desire from them to kind of pull everybody in, but into a physical setting, but the demand for that content is still there. The opportunity to do that doesn't exist. So So the very fact that they're asking the question, how can I still achieve this outcome? As you say, the mother of all invention is necessity here, and actually there's a need to keep doing what we need to do. And so, I'm getting a lot of demand from stakeholders and experts in the organisation to say, how can I still achieve this goal? And so, just doing things in a with the same outcome, with the same goal, even using the same skills and efforts, just doing the same dance to a different beat will really help what we're trying to do here. And so I'm really optimistic that I am seeing already the creativity, the innovation from people, the flexibility, the tenacious desire to just find a way to make this work will leave some vastly valuable lessons. I think the key here, though, if I may, is that especially whether it's leaders in learning or just leaders generally, is that we observe this and we take moments to capture and learn and adapt. So, we're going to make loads of mistakes as we go through this. We're going to drop some proper bombs, I'm sure. We'll have some amazing successes as well. But if we don't pause and capture those and reflect on them and iterate them as we go forward, that will be all wasted effort. So, that'll be one thing I would ask of all of those watching today, is to take a moment to observe what's happening, talk to people, have a period of listening, and use that to kind of gather and inform how you can use this opportunity to craft a new legacy for you and your team going forwards.
The way I'm hearing that then, David, is a bit like, because you were saying with that digital versus face-to-face split, things like regulatory skills or regulatory requirements can be met very easily digitally. I guess historically, things like leadership skills have been one of those that people talk a lot about. Face-to-face is key, etc. Are you saying that leaders, as well as their leadership skills changing, the way leaders learn is going to have to change in this new workplace?
I don't think it's necessarily the way they learn. So I think the way you learn is the way you learn. You do some stuff, you learn from others, and you grab some resources. There's your three ingredients. So how you consume that out of that cup doesn't really matter. So it's the mechanisms there. I think what is changing in particular is the application of those skills. So, for example, one of the core elements of good leadership is having an honest conversation. We'll take that as a really low-hanging fruit one. Whether I do that digitally or in the same location doesn't really change. I think there are technologies that we can adopt. So you and I, we've got cameras on, so you can still see the whites of my eyes. I can still, pick up on non-verbal cues. I can still, interrogate. And in fact, it's in these moments that all of those leadership capabilities are even more important. But they all translate and transfer. I think the root of the issue will be mindset. So, do I have, as a leader or as a recipient of this, is my mindset in a growth state to allow me to think about doing something a little bit different? Everyone needs to be flexible and adaptable at this minute in time. And I think that's that kind of, grown-up conversations, adult to adult, flexibility on both ways. But going back to the heart of your question there, I think whether it's no matter what the subject matter, if you're learning a subject, the environment that you're in, whether it's digitally or not, it's kind of secondary. You're still connecting people. As long as you've got good facilitation and you've got good presentation from those who are joining, I think it's about being smart. You can fracture into smaller groups and create smaller breakout workout sessions. You can create traction and focus still. You can still have, presentations to boards and things like that. None of that stuff changes. In fact, you can probably do more in a shorter amount of time. Because actually you've got, you don't have the efforts of travel or anything like that. So, I think it's, as I say, I think that the heart of this is about our mindset, and it's about us, not being in a fixed state and being ready to learn, adapt and flex to the need. Any learning can be done digitally, and I would defend that vigorously.
And when you were talking earlier about we're going to have to be, it's so different for a lot of us, this environment, that we're going to have to be prepared to drop some bombs, as it were. Is that the same? Is that part of that mindset as the leaders? We have to accept we haven't got all the answers.
Yeah, I think, you just got to fail fast, learn a lot, and move on. That's what happens at the end of the day. In fact, that's what learning's all about. Learning is a painful experience. Let's be honest. We fall over and we scratch our knee, and it's that moment that's the moment of learning opportunity, should you choose to embrace it. So, the fact that you are going to suffer setbacks, the fact that you are going to encounter some bumps in the road, having your eyes open and your mind open to that actually creates so many learning opportunities for you to kind of grab and embrace and move on with. So that's absolutely at the core of this, John, 100%.
And as well as the sort of learning, the leadership, all this good stuff we're thinking about, is there an element that some of these skills will be transferable to benefit our clients and our customers and make us more resilient, I guess, as an organisation?
I think that's the key word, to be honest with you, John, resilience. I think if there's anything at all that, the entire of all of our communities, at the end of this, hopefully at least, we come out of it stronger, and more able to deal with changing times, ambiguity, and all of those things. And I think that's the key, the issue of the moment. We're living in uncertain times. We've got lots of ambiguity to kind of navigate. And so, those vital lessons that we learn around how we try and maintain a modicum of stability, how we can keep an eye on kind of this isn't the way the world is going to be forever, and stay in a layer of optimism. Those two things alone will carry very naturally, I think, into kind of the new BAU that we'll find ourselves in at some point in the not too distant future, which is, we'll have lots of war stories to lean back on, lots of memories of when things went well. Lots of memories of those moments where it didn't quite go to plan that we should be embracing and keeping in our thinking as we look ahead. I think it's going to be hard to pin down the specifics of where those moments will be, but I think the one saving grace in this, if there is a saving grace at all, is that this is a global pandemic. So every single person on the planet right now is in the exact same boat as you. So we're in this together. We're all learning, and I think there'll be some very powerful and interesting and extremely insightful conversations to happen in many months' time, when we kind of take stock and regroup after the next few weeks.
Based on all the things we've discussed in the last sort of 3 chats we've had, is there anything that you would just end on in terms of like a positive message to people that, you've been positive throughout, but some real sort of don't fear the future, or don't fear the worst,
Absolutely, John. I think, and that's probably the starting point. Look, don't be afraid, folks. We will get through this. This is not a new normal, and it won't be the same normal. I think we can all accept that, but it will be a new normal soon, and we'll all be stronger and better because of it. Most importantly, think about your own well-being. Eat well, sleep well, rest well. That will protect your immune system, and it will mean, the metaphor I'd use here is you can't pour from an empty cup. So look after yourself. As leaders, you're going to be pulled on left, right, and centre. You'll have messages coming at you all over the shop, and loads of things to think about. So think about you. You're important in this moment, and as best as you can. Learning's fun. You're going to learn new things. You're going to encounter new challenges. There's going to be a new Rubik's Cube for you every day. So embrace that moment, take it, reflect, celebrate those successes when you've gone well, and acknowledge those moments when it didn't. And don't be too hard on yourself. It's hard out there right now. So you're doing a great job. Pursue progress, not perfection, folks.
That's great. Thanks very much, David. You said some great things, and I know people will take some inspiration, solace, and encouragement from it. So thanks very much for your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you all.